This PowerPoint presentation is on the history of the double bass. My name is Simeon Chien and I hope you enjoy the PowerPoint. What is a double bass? Well, double bass is a string instrument that is considered to be the largest and the lowest instrument in the string family in comparison to the other three string instruments like the violin, the viola and the cello. It can either be bowed or it can be plucked. The plucking technique, which is the pizzicato in the Italian term, is the most popular technique used on the double bass, which is very common in genres like jazz and country. Whereas the Italian term for bowing is arco, which is often heard in orchestral music and classical music. Now, double bass has different terms for it. Now, in classical or orchestral music, we would call it a string bass or a contrabass, whereas in jazz music, we'd call it an upright bass, an acoustic bass, or a stand-up bass. Some double basses can come with 4 or 5 strings as well. The 5-string double basses have either a low B at the bottom, or some will have a high C string at the top. Here we're going to talk about the history of the double bass, which is the birth of the double bass. The double bass originated in Europe in the 15th century and was considered as a bass violin at the time, because violins were still present at that time hundreds of years ago, especially in the Baroque period where you'll hear a lot of string instruments being played at that time. Ancient double basses had their shoulders cut or sloped in order to allow players to play with the modern techniques. That was when bows were starting to become popular at that time. So it's where you see that curve at the side of the body of the instrument is where it allowed the string players to move their bow in between, like say if they're going on the high G string or on the low E, it would be able to give them access for their bow to go through over the string. Earlier basses were the conversions of existing violins. So that was when, like after the violins had been around at the time, that the basses were starting to become the conversions and obviously, as I said, the lower versions of the violin. Larry Hurst, who was one of the inventors of the double bass, believed that the shape of the double bass was like that of a violin, and this was because they fitted F-shaped sound holes, which we call F holes, which they were fitted in with modern trappings, and that's where the sound comes from. Double bass bows are also formed in 2 forms. One is a French bow, and one is a German bow, and they were designed with different gripping techniques. So it meant that players had to hold the bow in different ways. Like, for example, that they would put their thumb in between their middle finger, or they would, or in the German hold, it would be fingers underneath, and then ring finger and pinky underneath the other end of the bow. In the 1950s, double basses started becoming used more widely in jazz and country, but they were difficult to hear in loud concert settings, so devices called pickups had to be fitted in between the tailpiece and the wing bridge, and this allowed them to be heard through amplification, which was at the same time as electric basses were originated. Famous double bass companies here include the Jiwa Rockabilly, Shona Dvorak, Upton Bass, Yamaha Silent Bass, that's the electric double bass, the NS Design upright bass, which again is the electric upright, which you can see on the bottom right of the screen here. We've got the Eastman VB200 Gamba shape bass, which is on the bottom left, and the SAG EDB 3/4 length electric double bass. So some basses come, you can see on the left, you've got some here that are acoustic double basses, and some on the right here are electric double basses. So here's some famous double bass pickup brands. So here we've got the Fisherman BP100, which I've got on my bass, the David Gage Realist pickup, the Realist RLSTSC pickup. Realist pickups are famous and work very powerfully on double basses, although they do cost quite a lot of money. K&K Bass Max pickups, Jiwa DB1, and the Crivo double bass pickup, which I don't know the model of it, but they do come in quite handy for double basses. Genres that are used on, which double basses are used on, so these include classical, orchestra, jazz, country, rock and roll, folk, Latin, and funk. And famous double bass players here include Paul Chambers, Ron Carter, Charles Mingus, Gary Carr, Trevor Dunn, Peter Seymour, and Bill Black. And that's the end of the PowerPoint presentation, so if you have any questions and you want to ask, please leave a comment or send me a message. Thank you.